that the practice of engaging in social
on social media the whole time I've been sitting here, and I strongly refute whatever it is being thrown my way, Madam Speaker. I have not been on social media, and I demand that it be retracted, please, Madam Speaker.
So, member for Tobago East? Tobago West, I'm sorry. One, I could appreciate your angst if you didn't. I did not accuse you of anything. I'm saying if it generated from you. All right? And as I said, I appreciate the type of world we are living in with respect to the potential with social media. All right? So I'm asking members to desist from sending while the House is in session, and I'm also asking members, because of the threats against what we do that come from social media, that we all have a duty to safeguard the spread of disinformation by means of social media. So whichever way, I hope that no member in this chamber is engaged in the practice of using social media while we're in session, whether it is really genuinely from the member or is a form of disinformation. Member for Couva, sir.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, after having listened to the Minister of Finance over the last 30 minutes, I am sure that the business community, the labor community, the wider civil society, and the people of Trinidad and Tobago will continue to have no confidence in the Minister of Finance and the government of Trinidad and Tobago in relation to the handling of the economy, the diversification, the growth, and creation of employment. There is absolutely no hope under the Minister of Finance and the member for Diego Martin East for Trinidad and Tobago, Madam Speaker. And Madam Speaker, we on this side could have told you even before this response from the Minister of Finance what he will say. He will blame Kamla. He will tell the population we have to borrow because we were running on fumes when we came in. We in the opposition wants a devaluation, and they want to blame COVID for the reduced revenue from oil, gas, and methanol. We know the script of the Minister of Finance and the hapless government led by Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley, Madam Speaker. And Madam Speaker, I came with a prepared text to make a brief contribution here. But after having listened to the Minister of Finance, it is my responsibility to put on the record and rebut that this minister has to be living in a fantasy land and is the individual with this being the individual being having the largest ego as it relates to being a stranger to the truth and what the reality is in Trinidad and Tobago. Madam Speaker, the minister, before he ended his presentation, boasted of a parallel healthcare system that was the best in the world, and to the point that he could not have reminded us what Trinidad and Tobago has become under the Minister of Health, and where he was the minister, he has been the Minister of Finance for the last 6 years, or approximately 6 years, Madam Speaker, because from being told by Oxford University that...
Thank you. I usually don't have a problem here in the member for Couva South. All right? And I'm just going to ask all members to please desist from crosstalk, loud talking, continuous conversations. All right? Because I know the member for Couva South has the ability to drown out this chamber. I really would not like him to have to do so for how we're interrupting him. Please continue, member for Couva South.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the Minister of Health boasted, and every day we heard it, that Trinidad and Tobago was told that by Oxford University that we were best in the world. But under the Minister of Finance, we have been reduced as beggars in relation to the provision of vaccines for the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, in relation to the parallel healthcare system that they have boasted so much about. Today, thousands of our very own citizens cannot get basic surgeries done in our healthcare system in Trinidad and Tobago. Thousands of our citizens remain stranded outside of the shores of Trinidad and Tobago, not knowing when they will come in. And there is a brain drain in terms of nurses exiting Trinidad and Tobago because they have no confidence in the Minister of Finance and no confidence in his colleague, the Minister of Health, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, it is also important for me to be able to tell Trinidad and Tobago, and once and for all, put a rest to this narrative that the PNM continues in trying to hide their incompetence and their lack of development for the people of Trinidad and Tobago, because they continue to tell the country that when they came into office that the treasury was empty, Madam Speaker. And the biggest contradiction I heard was towards the end of the presentation of the Minister of Finance, when he said that the Heritage and Stabilization Fund still had approximately 5.6 billion US dollars in it. That was the figure that was left by Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar and her government. And he said that because the sum of money was in the Heritage and Stabilization Fund is a testimony that Trinidad and Tobago was not bankrupt. So the fact remains that when they came into government, they met a Heritage and Stabilization Fund that had approximately 6 billion US dollars in it. How could have the partnership government led by Kamla Persad-Bissessar bankrupted Trinidad and Tobago, Madam Speaker? In addition to that, the economic indicators will reveal or have revealed that the foreign reserves led by the partnership led by Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar, the foreign reserves stood at approximately $13+ billion, and that is the legacy of sound economic management on the part of the Kamla Persad-Bissessar-led government, Madam Speaker. And Madam Speaker, the PNM has spent approximately $300 billion. In fact, I think, and I stand to be corrected, it's $290 billion, and they have drawn down approximately $900 million in US dollar, 900 million US from the Heritage and Stabilization Fund, so that it is further testimony that the country was not running on fumes. There was adequate resources to govern Trinidad and Tobago, and that is the foundation they have attempted to navigate for the last 6 years, Madam Speaker. And Madam Speaker, it is important for us to remind Trinidad and Tobago that when Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar led Trinidad and Tobago and spent monies, it was monies that was spent towards the development of this country and towards improving the quality of life and standard of living of all the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, Madam Speaker. And this was clearly demonstrated, Madam Speaker, in the projects that were executed by the government led by the member for Siparia, because we have a track record of showing what we achieve. You have spent approximately $290 billion. You have drawn down $900 million plus from the Heritage and Stabilization Fund. What can you show to the people of Trinidad and Tobago? We on this side can still show the people of Trinidad and Tobago that we delivered over 100 schools. Madam Speaker, we can also show to the people of Trinidad and Tobago that we refurbished over 100 plus health centers. We built
Order 48.1. This has nothing to do with the tenure of the member for Siparia. Rise on Standing Order 48.1, because respectfully we are not debating the tenure of the member for Siparia for the last 5 minutes as the honourable member has been engaged.
Overruled.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the Attorney General should have paid attention to his colleague, the Minister of Finance, when the Minister of Finance said that the government led by the member for Siparia spent money like water. I want to show where the water went, Madam Speaker, in terms of the allocation of resources. You all are stranger to the truth, and today we will put rest to that. Because if you cannot deal with the facts, Attorney General, you could take a walk.
That is unacceptable. You're speaking to the chair. Okay? And the only person who sent people for a walk here is the chair. All right? So please retract that.
Yes, no point in time.
Just now. We're not having a conversation. Member, we're not having a conversation. You retract and please proceed.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I retract. Madam Speaker, it is important for the Attorney General to know also that we spent monies as it relates to ensuring that over 74% of the population have clean water in their taps. When we were in power today, WASA collapsed after 6 years and 3 successive ministers of public utilities. The workers of WASA do not know if they are coming or going, and the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago do not know when there will be a reliable water supply into their homes and in their taps after a government that has been led by Dr. Keith Rowley in two terms, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, it is important for the citizenry of the country to be reminded that there was infrastructural development as it relates to the construction of the Valencia bypass, the Diego Martin Highway, the highway to Point 14, and in addition to that, projects that we are all proud of as patriotic citizens of Trinidad and Tobago today, the Couva Children's Hospital, the cycling velodrome, the aquatic center, Madam Speaker, and we understood that we had a responsibility for the well-being of the nation's children, and that is why the member for Siparia spent monies on laptops, textbooks, and uniforms for the children of Trinidad and Tobago, and that is why, too, that under her stewardship as the Prime Minister of the country, her government was praised. Her government was praised by the General Secretary of the United Nations for having achieved the status of universal early childhood education for the young children of Trinidad and Tobago, Madam Speaker, and that is how the money was spent. We also focus on crime fighting, Madam Speaker.
Order 48-1, again, respectfully. Perhaps I don't know if you've been paying attention because I see the clerk was with you, so I apologize. If you need it.
AG, so I'll just ask you to retract that last statement also.
To clarify, so I...
Okay, retract and sit. Okay? And again, I'm the sole arbiter of what is relevant. You may stand on a standing order. Anybody is entitled to. I'm the final arbiter of that. Please proceed, Member for Cuba.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I will remind the country, I don't have to remind them, because we spent money on the construction of police stations in Arima, in Piaco, in Maloney, in Komoto, in Brasso, Labre, Orapuch, and Maruga, and we ensured that gate was expanded to include technical and vocational courses, Madam Speaker. And Madam Speaker, the Minister of Finance, having nothing to speak about in terms of achievements and what he can boast about, attempted to berate the member for Siparia and our government at that time for gifting the government of Trinidad and Tobago as it relates to a $5 billion outstanding back pay for the labor movement. Again, that was never gifted, that was negotiated between parties, recognized majority unions, their respective employers, whether the CPO, whether at whatever state entity, under the rule of law, under the Industrial Relations Act of Trinidad and Tobago, and that was achieved through the collective bargaining process. And Madam Speaker, when we assume office, the member for Diego Martin Northeast seemed to have forgotten when the member for Siparia emerged to be the Prime Minister in May of 2010, Trinidad and Tobago was now emerging out of what was called...
Again, please.
Member for San Fernando West, the Minister of Finance, in his presentation, made certain comparisons with one period versus another period. Okay? So that I take this as responding to that. Please continue, Kuba.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. How much more time I have?
You have just under 4 minutes.
Madam Speaker, as I said, that the member for Siparia took the reins of leading Trinidad and Tobago at a time when Trinidad and Tobago was on the cusp of climbing out of a global economic meltdown. And she led Trinidad and Tobago by not bawling and crying and blaming and moaning and groaning.
48-1, Madam Speaker. I rise.
And members, everybody has a right to rise on a standing order. And while everybody has a right, it's also not a right to be abused. Okay? So I ask members to be tolerant when another member rises and leave it for the chair to determine. Attorney General, I overrule, and I would also say that we also have other rights we could exercise in here when we have a little challenge. Member for Cuba South.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. True leadership was demonstrated between May of 2010 to 2015 when we grappled with the economic hole, the financial hole of over $22 billion as a result of CLICO. We met contractors who attempted to hold my colleagues hostage in the diplomatic center, demanding that the government of the day settle over $5 billion in debts that were owed to contractors. And at a time when they failed to offer 0% to the labor movement at the time, it was the government led by the member for Superior who displayed leadership and ensured that she facilitated the free and fair collective bargaining process. And as a result of facilitating that process, over 135 negotiations were settled, and leadership was found to settle over $4 billion in back pay, Madam Speaker. So, Madam Speaker, when the Minister of Finance comes to this House and attempts to create the narrative that we misspent, they know where the money gone, we wasted the money like spending like water and so on, they must deal with the reality of what they have done. He, as the Minister of Finance, could not have boasted of one success story. Today, NIBTT is in shambles, Madam Speaker, from a financial point of view. The Minister of Finance wants to put workers back to the 1930s, when workers in this country did not have the right to engage in free and fair collective bargaining. It is unheard of in this country where a Minister of Finance has gone into uncharted territory, unparalleled territory, and he has ordered and launched an investigation into a collective agreement that was legally arrived at between both parties, Madam Speaker, and he wouldn't tell the country that he collapsed on the job because he was the line minister for NIBTT for the last 6 years. The negotiations started in October of 2019 and finished in 2020 under his watch. And if the Minister of Finance was doing his job, certainly from a tripartite point of view, NIBTT has a chairman that directly reports to him as the line minister, Madam Speaker, and I want to say there is no hope in the Minister of Finance for the next 4.5 years because he will continue to decimate the economy of Trinidad.
Minister of Energy and Energy Industries.